Article 3 Project founder, your favorite lawyer, Mike Davis. Mike, thanks for being on the program. I begged Drew to get you back on because I wanted to talk to you about all of this. So a lot to get into. Closing arguments, jury deliberations, right? Set to begin next week in New York.
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem. I think that this is such a corrupt, rigged process in New York that I would not be surprised at all if this jury, this jury finds Trump guilty and this judge convicts and tries to put him in prison under these with these bogus charges against President Trump. He settled a nuisance claim in 2017. He put it in the books, in his private books, as a legal expense in 2017. I don't know what else you would call it. I've been a lawyer for nearly 20 years. I've settled many of these nuisance claims on behalf of business people and businesses. I don't know what I would book it as if you didn't call the settlement of a nuisance claim a legal expense. And their theory is that settlement of this 2017 legal expense is a bookkeeping misdemeanor because a legal expense apparently is not a legal expense. And then it somehow becomes a felony because that 2017 booking of that legal expense in President Trump's private books somehow affected the 2016 election. This is a legal theory passed over by the prior Manhattan DA, Cy Vance, the Manhattan U.S. Attorney, the Federal Election Commission, and this Soros-funded Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg himself, who campaigned on getting Trump. It wasn't until Colangelo went up there. Matthew Colangelo got deployed from the Biden Justice Department. And here we are with this corrupt judge, Juan Merchan, whose daughter is fundraising off of this trial.
Terrible.
Donated
it's crazy.
Trump's not getting a fair trial, and he's not going to get a fair verdict.
No, and, so this is a very interesting. First of all, I think this should be a directed verdict, but we're not going to see that, are we? I mean, the judge he's in on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, Kimberly, is you have a judge who donated to Biden. He donated to another anti-Trump cause. He got reprimanded, we just learned, many months ago for these donations. He didn't recuse from this case like he should have. His adult daughter, Lauren Merchan, is a Democrat fundraiser and consultant raising millions of dollars off of this criminal prosecution, unprecedented criminal trial over which her father is presiding, requiring his recusal under New York statute. That's not just me saying that. A former federal Clinton judge said that on Caitlin Collins' show on April 5th on CNN. And how did Judge Merchan respond? He retaliated against President Trump for even raising this evidence. He expanded this illegal gag order against Trump. So you have a corrupt judge, Juan Merchan, whose daughter is making money off of this trial. You have these partisan prosecutors who campaigned on getting Trump. You have Matthew Colangelo coming from the Biden Justice Department to bring this zombie case from 7 years ago. Terrible. You have Stormy Daniels, who's changed her story pretty consistently. She's raising money from her pinned porn site on Twitter. She says she hates Trump. Michael Cohen, this disbarred, disgraced attorney, serial perjurer who's raising money, trashing Trump on TikTok. And we found out he's embezzling from President Trump. If Trump mentions Lauren Merchan or Colangelo or Stormy Daniels or Michael Cohen, or even the fact that this jury pool voted 87% for Joe Biden, this judge has threatened to throw Trump in jail. If his campaign posts a news story from the New York Times, for example, mentioning any of those five things, this judge is threatening to throw Trump in jail. Trump certainly can't talk about how this judge, Juan Merchan, Alvin Bragg, and Matthew Colangelo rigged the jury selection process. It's already 87% Biden voter. They further rigged it by bouncing people from the jury pool who follow Trump on social media, the 3 people in Manhattan who follow Trump on social media, but they didn't bounce the people who follow Biden. This is a preordained political hit on President Trump, driven by President Biden himself.
It really is, and you've made the case, so well. I have to tell you something. I'm actually worried about it. I was thinking, well, let's see. There are a couple men on there that I thought, upon review, that you're shaking the head. This isn't a good sign, folks. I'm just telling you, okay? Because Mike Davis tells it like it is.
They're going to find him guilty. It's not a crime for a businessman to settle a nuisance claim. It happens routinely. I've been a
All the
lawyer for
time.
20 years. I've done it routinely. This is a political hit on Trump. Fortunately, the American people are waking up to this and see that this is part of the Biden Democrats' politicized and weaponized justice systems against President Trump, because they know President Trump is going to beat Biden like a drum on November 5th, 2024. Look at the Bronx right now. Look at how many people are lined up to go see President Trump hours ahead of time in the Bronx, for crying out loud.
Well, I get it, but now you really have me worried. I swear that I thought, look at that he was going to potentially just get a hung jury with, two of the male jurors on there that people seem to have some hope in, but you're not seeing it that way.
No, I mean, they said that there are like 2 lawyers at big law firms on this jury. How many Trump supporters work at big law firms in Manhattan? Like 0. There is no chance that Trump is going to get a fair trial.
Well, that's a fact. I just thought somebody who actually wanted to follow the law and the facts would see this is completely outrageous and do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, think about it this way. And even if it is a hung jury, they're going to put Trump back on trial again and keep him off the campaign trail for another 2 months. I mean, so it's a win-win for them. They'll either find him guilty and call him a felon, and it will get reversed on appeal eventually, but not before the election, or they can have a hung jury and Trump's back in the courtroom, stuck in Judge Merchan's third world Marxist courtroom for another 2 months when he should be on the campaign trail.
Okay, so how soon do you honestly think that going to have closing arguments and that the jury is going to get instructed?
Well, I mean, it looks like it's going to happen right after Memorial Day. And, I mean, you're a former prosecutor, Kimberly. You know how this works. I mean, if I had any confidence in the judicial system in New York, I would say there's no chance in hell that they would find him guilty. This judge would enter a directed verdict because there's no crime.
Right.
Trump doesn't even look. I mean, think about this. They have not even explained to President Trump what the legal allegations are against him. He is a criminal defendant. The trial is over, and they have not told him how he has committed a felony under their bogus legal theory that they resurrected against Trump 7 years after the fact to interfere in the presidential election.
It's mind-boggling to me. But now, I mean, that was a buzzkill, because I was thinking hung jury, and then I'm saying it to you, and you're going like this, just shaking me off. You're going, nope.
No. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, and think about it, that's the best we can hope for, is that one sane person on this jury says that they're not going to vote to find President Trump guilty when there's 0 evidence of guilt. There's 0 evidence of the only evidence of a crime we saw during this entire trial was Michael Cohen admitting that he embezzled $60,000.
Thief and a liar.
I mean, this is look at their star witnesses. You have a bimbo porn star who's raising money on Twitter with her porn site, and a disgraced, disbarred serial perjurer, Michael Cohen, who admitted that he embezzled from President Trump. And think about what the sword of Damocles that Alvin Bragg had over Cohen's head. If you don't play ball and cooperate with us,
sure,
we're going to prosecute you for embezzling from President Trump for $60,000. It's insane. Cohen should be on trial. Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen should be gagged, not the criminal defendant, not President Trump. This is a third world Marxist hellhole in New York City.
You're absolutely right. And meanwhile, let's be honest, we see Biden's fingerprints over every single one of these sham trials, right? We learned more this week about the Mar-a-Lago raid. Can you even, seriously, what do you make of those revelations? I mean, you can use a deadly, lethal force. Good God.
Well, and you're hearing the Justice Department and all this, the liberal media coming out and defending Biden, and they're saying, well, this is standard protocol. Okay, well, if it's standard protocol, why the hell would you order an FBI raid on a former president with shoot-to-kill orders? If that's standard protocol, then that's even worse for Joe Biden. That's even worse for Merrick Garland, because they ordered a raid with deadly force over a dispute with the librarians at the archives for presidential records that President Trump was allowed to have under the Presidential Records Act. I mean, think about that. we have overdue library books and we're going to send in the FBI SWAT team?
Yes, that's what basically happened. I mean, it's insane. Can you imagine that they would, okay, you could shoot the staff or anyone else there? Christina Bobb was there blocking the driveway. She's lucky she didn't get whacked. Oh my God. It's so nuts. It's nuts. Can you imagine that? That's like a coup. That's like, oh, go ahead. Shoot anyone at the president's place.
But she's going to take a bullet for her client. So she's fierce.
That's a new ad. She got to get a billboard like that. Okay. Okay. So it's so crazy just with all of this going on. So clearly there's like an effort to kind of normalize behavior that is anything but normal.
Yeah. I mean, this is insane. There is not even a criminal component to the Presidential Records Act. Remember, the president before the Presidential Records Act was passed after the Nixon presidency, presidents owned their records personally. So President Nixon was selling his presidential records to make money, and so they passed the Presidential Records Act. And what the Presidential Records Act says is that the government owns the records, but it's the president's determination whether they're personal records that belong to him, i.e. Clinton Sockdorf case, or presidential records that belong to the government that he can access anytime he wants. There's not a criminal component. If he has his presidential records in the office of former president, that's allowed by the statute. A presidential record is any document created or received by the president and his White House staff. So if the CIA, if another intel agency sends a classified document to the president or his staff to advise them on a matter, those are presidential records. It doesn't matter whether they're classified. That's why former presidents get the office of former president with 24/7, 365 Secret Service protection, with federally funded staff with security clearances, very secure office space. These documents, these presidential records that Biden raided from President Trump never leaked for 30 months that they were in Mar-a-Lago. They didn't start leaking until Biden stole them from President Trump.
Stole them and probably looking for stuff in there to see what he had.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this for the last 23 months. This was clearly a political hit by Joe Biden on President Trump because President Trump declassified the very damning Crossfire hurricane records the day before he left office via presidential order, and he had his copy in Mar-a-Lago maybe. And so those records were going to come out in a civil lawsuit from Trump against Hillary over Russian collusion, Crossfire hurricane. And they're so damning. That's why Biden had his deputy White House counsel, Jonathan Sue, work with Gary Stern at the National Archives, work with Jay Bratt at the Justice Department, work with this biased magistrate judge, Bruce Reinhart, to orchestrate this hit on President Trump to go get these Crossfire hurricane presidential records he was allowed to have. And they did this under the guise of espionage, which is total nonsense because Biden at the same time had stolen classified records, 5 stashes of stolen classified records from his time as VP, even senator, moved several times, unguarded for 2.5 years, accessible by their Chinese agent, almost certainly used by Hunter for his foreign corruption, and definitely used by Joe Biden for his book, his $8 million book, to share these classified records with his ghostwriter. It was Joe Biden who committed espionage, not President Trump.
You're absolutely right. And now, how about this? This really irritates me too. The left is now going after Justice Alito over a flag. What's your reaction to this story? And could this be a sign, that there's chatter about the high court's, upcoming decision on presidential immunity?
So anyone who knows Justice Alito and his wife know that they're not going to be cowed at all, ever. And his wife is actually tougher than he is, and he's pretty tough. So I don't think they're going to move the needle very much with Justice Alito from the left with these attacks. What I think they're trying to do is they're trying to attack the court to maybe get Chief Justice John Roberts to cave. But I think these Democrats made a very big mistake when they went after Chief Justice John Roberts' wife, Jane, who gave up her very lucrative law practice when he became the Chief Justice, and she became a legal headhunter. And these leftists attacked her recently and said that somehow creates a conflict of interest for the Chief Justice, that his wife is a headhunter. And so I would imagine, knowing the Chief Justice, that he was probably pretty angry about these attacks. And to the extent that you're trying to win over the Chief Justice, that's probably the wrong way to do it. I imagine he's probably pretty red-pilled right now.
Oh my God. I hope so. They got to stand up. Don't let these bullies, push them around. Now, Article 3 project clearly is at the center of this mission to stop corrupt justice and lawfare and the weaponization of our legal institutions. Where can viewers go to help and to learn more? Because there's a tremendous amount of interest from our viewers, in this area.
So go to article3project.org, article number 3project.org. You can do three things there. You can take action there. There's an action center where one of the action items is to have Congress defund this lawfare by Jack Smith, the Biden Justice Department, Big Fani Willis, Big Tish James, Alvin Bragg, Matthew Colangelo, all these Democrat operatives. Defund this lawfare until after the election. They waited 30 months for many of these cases. They waited 7 years for Bragg's case. They can wait till after the election. And if you go to the Take Action page at article3project.org, you can do patch-through phone calls to both of your home state senators and your U.S. representative. You can do emails. You can do social media. It's highly effective, so do that. You can also donate online. We're lean and mean. I'm spending too much of my own money, so if you can donate, I don't have to go get a real job, which will be good. And then you can also follow us on social media at Article 3 Project on Getter, Twitter, Truth, Instagram, Facebook, when we're not kicked off.
I know, right? Aye. All right, well, so now I'm really going to be freaked out, probably not sleep at all at night because of your predictions, because I'm worried because your predictions, I think, are always right. That's the problem. So we'll see what happens. You think this could even, just to wrap it up again real quick, you think this could all transpire next week?
Yeah, and I'm telling you that I'm pretty confident this jury is going to find President Trump guilty because this judge is going to instruct the jury on just a completely bogus reading of the law. It's already a biased jury pool and a rigged jury selection process, a corrupt judge, partisan prosecutors. And I think eventually the Supreme Court of the United States is going to have to step in and reverse this, but that may not happen before the presidential election.
I know, that's the thing, but I know ultimately he will be, vindicated, but what a terrible thing for him to have to go through, and he's so stoic and so strong. God bless him. So let's see what happens. It's just, it's a shame. It's a damn shame is what it is. It really is, but I'm gonna pray about it. Let's see what happens. It's just going to backfire on them. It's going to make him even more popular. You see everyone in the Bronx, people are loving him. They're showing up for Trump everywhere. So this is, they're just fooling themselves. It's playing, they're kicking the can down the road, essentially just trying to delay and keep him, preoccupied, etc. But all right, well, we're going to figure this out, and then we're probably going to ask you to come back next week, right? Book him now, Drew. God. All right? My good friend. You're the best.
Thank you.
Take care, honey. It's the first time I say, I hope he's wrong. All right. And don't go anywhere because